Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Today will be a special double feature as we are showcasing two 12-inch action figures from Spin Master. Alright, so on our left we have Batman, looking awesome. And then on our right we have Robin. So we're going to recreate the dynamic duo in this review. Okay, so where do we start? Alright, so on the back of the box, here are the lineups in this assortment. We have Batman, also is the Joker, and Nightwing, and then another version of Batman. And let's take these out. Alright, so if you've been to my channel before, you'll know that I'm a fan of these 12-inch action figures put out by Spin Master. And also the 12-inch Titan Hero series put out by Hasbro. I know many serious collectors kind of scoff at these toys and call them shampoo bottles. But for me, they really appeal to my inner child. You know, I see these as toys, not really collectibles. For me, they're something I like to display at my desk at work. And I just think they're awesome. They really take me back to my youth. Because when I was younger, I kind of had a lot of the older, larger Mego style action figures. And then I also had the old 12-inch Kenner Star Wars figures. So this form factor is something I'm very familiar with and I feel at home with. You know, these things really make me feel nostalgic for, the late 70s and early 80s when I was just a wee little child playing with my toys. And there's one more I missed. Where is it? There we go. And on the inside, there's a nice insert of the Batcave. Looks pretty cool. If you want to keep this and use it for a backdrop for your action figures, go ahead. I'm just going to toss them out. Okay, so we have two very modern versions of the dynamic duo. Let's first off look at Robin. Alright, so this Robin I think is gorgeous. It's really well done. I like just give me a moment. There's like a piece of plastic tie caught in his elbow. I want to get that out. There we go. Alright, so this is a very nice modern interpretation of Robin. If I had to guess, I'm thinking this is more so Tim Drake than Damian or Dick Grayson. It's almost perfect. The only thing it's missing is a cape. But it's really well done. The sculpting is perfect as always. A nice hair sculpt. It's very clean lines. Has some nice volume to it. The mask is nice as well. I love how they have the green, but also kind of like the eyeshadow underneath with the black. A very cleanly printed emblem on his chest right there. He has a nice thick utility belt with a lot of pouches. And the paint application is very clean. I really appreciate the contrast with the shade of green they have against the red and the yellow. And it's a beautiful figure. In terms of his height, he stands in at about 11.5 inches. As for his articulation, his head swivels left and right. It's on a ball joint, so there is some additional movement, but not too much. His arms, they're articulated at the shoulder right here, allowing them to go up and down. And I believe they can also go outward. But due to the armor piece, the movement is kind of hindered. They can only go out so far. The elbows are articulated, they bend, and they also swivel, which is nice. And then the wrists have articulation. The legs are articulated at the hips, allowing them to kick up and I believe outward. And then the knees bend. And you can hear it's on a ratchet, so they lock into place. And give me a moment. I'm going to grab another Robin figure real quick. Alright, so actually I grabbed two Robin figures just for a comparison. All right, so we have another Robin. This one is produced by Spin Master as well. You can see it's a much younger looking version of Robin. This is clearly the Damian Wayne. And you can see the size difference. You know, this is almost kind of like Robin grown up. And then I have this one. This one is made by Mattel. And this was from their True Moves line from 2018. This is easily one of my favorite 12-inch Robin action figures. It's gorgeous. The sculpting, the proportions on this is just really beautiful. And this figure in many ways reminds me of this one. But, you know, like I said, it's just missing the cape. That's the one element that would make it perfect. But yeah, very stoked on this figure. If you have any of the other Robins like this one here, I kind of feel like this is a nice upgrade also, just because the figure is so drastically different. Not only in appearance, but also in size. Alright, up next, let's take a look at Batman. Excuse me. Batman stands in at about 11.5 inches also. A very unique take on Batman here. It's not the first time we've seen Batman in a trench coat. This kind of reminds me of the McFarlane Dark Detective Batman, which was kind of based on one of the later eras. I think that was, what was it again? Future State. I think Dark Detective was from Future State. It also kind of bears resemblance to the live-action Snyderverse Batman, which is called Nightmare Batman. This is Batman kind of as he appears in the alternate reality where the world's kind of thrown into like a dystopian apocalypse. And then Batman's running around with a Joker, and he's kind of wearing that duster trench coat. So this figure kind of feels like it takes a page out of that, but at the same time, the armor plating kind of reminds me of the Arkham games, especially with the riveting. But really nice interpretation of the character. It's kind of cool. He has a scarf around his neck. He has his grappling gun on the side, but unfortunately, it's a permanent. It's permanently molded onto the costume. It's not an additional accessory. And I still have these plastic ties on. I'm going to take those off. But it's a wonderful looking figure. Nice head sculpt. I love the armor plating on his mask. His head movement is kind of limited, and I'm guessing it's because of the scarf piece. The arms, they can move up and outward. Articulation at the elbows, which bend and they do swivel. And then you do have articulation at the wrists. And then the legs kick up, and then they can also kick outward. But unfortunately, the coat piece here kind of restricts the movement. But overall, a beautiful looking action figure. If you're a customizer, I kind of feel like this base body would go great for like a custom Gambit figure, or maybe even the Punisher in the trench coat. But yeah, it's cool. You know, this dynamic duo, they look awesome next to one another. You know, somewhat unconventional designs for both figures. You know, I kind of feel like the Robin really needs the cape, but it's still a standout figure nonetheless. And again, this version of Batman, also very unconventional. You know, he doesn't have the cape, and he has the trench coat on. But if you're a fan of the Dark Detective from Future State, or the Nightmare Batman from the Snyderverse, you know, this figure might be for you. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.